Let's start by welcoming you to the Green Screen Studio in Wapping.
Thank you very much, Michael. Yes.
And I'm actually blown away by your new production. I was had the honor to listen to rough mixes. Maybe I could see that Steve was still doing little notes.
Plenty notes.
Not too many. I hope, because I was very impressed and very happy with how it sounded. And we thought I have you here. We should promote the album a little bit and make people a little bit more aware of what you've done and talk about it. So, first question, how was the experience this time around under these very difficult circumstances, I guess?
Yeah, lockdown. It was different. I mean, obviously, as the band moved forward, we also moved out of the studio. Obviously, a lot of things changed. And as a result, really, we were more concentrating our own thoughts and our sort of energies into what was going on in our world rather than COVID as such. So the whole idea of the fact that we had to do everything remotely, we just saw it as an added thing. We didn't really start to take that the world was changing because our world was already changing. So we, in a way, we kind of bypassed that, didn't we, Steve?
Yeah. We were busily stuffing things into containers and other storage and getting the workings of a studio together again, and just so that we could actually physically do this. Yeah. So the COVID thing didn't really impinge on us at all at that point.
Yeah.
But as we started recording, then the fact that we couldn't have the bass player around to do his bit, and the drummer obviously was in a different country, and so on and so forth, it became a little bit more awkward then, or we had to think outside the box more and get people to record things remotely and then post them into me down the phone line. So that was what we had to do. So we just got on with it and did it.
Definitely after hearing it, I couldn't tell that it was not recorded all together or whether it was done a step-by-step approach. It sounded really, really... It's probably a sign that you're on the same page at all times.
I think to an extent, from our point of view, it's years of practice as well. We've got used to working with each other. Steve and I especially, we go back a very long way. And, we went back to the JYB and before that, as I do with you, Michael. And so, we've come from very sort of humble backgrounds in that area, but we've watched each other grow. And also we have an idea of what we think fits.
Yeah, it's whether a take makes it or not is generally whether it fits with what's already there or not.
Good point.
And if it's radically different or radically difficult to fit in, then parts of it start to disappear, obviously, because they don't fit with what's there. Other people sometimes have a different opinion and think something that's already there might want to disappear. So we have to be diplomatic about things and work out a solution that's, basically everyone's happy with.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's you mentioned the word natural a couple of times. It didn't feel like you were stitching things together that don't fit together, but took extra care, and probably you had the time as well to really take care of each component that you utilize in a way.
Yeah, well, that's always been the case. We always have to analyze it quite carefully and make sure that every element of it fits, because there are so many elements. It is not a straightforward composition, so therefore any of them. So you have to make sure at every stage that what you're building on is right.
I turned up at Steve's with the title track, and I'd already maxed out my Pro Tools just on the keyboards. And then he just scratches his head and goes, "Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough." And then where do we go from there? So it is what it is.
So
well, I can tell to the future listeners and audience, it's worth waiting into the songs they develop. And if you think like with contemporary music, you very often know the whole structure by the first bars you hear. Certainly not with your amazing music. It is developing and telling a story that very often ends up in a different place but organically, not forced. And it's I really enjoyed the first listen to your stuff.
Yeah, each song is a succession of curveballs.
I always remember when we played the first album to Thijs van Leer, and because we wanted him to play flute on the album, and we're big Focus fans. We love Focus, and I remember being at the studio and going into the office that was there then. And Thijs was in because he was managed by the same people, and so I went in and said, "Would you be interested in putting some flute on the tracks?" And he said, "Let me listen to your album." So he put the headphones on, and I always remember he was going, "Whoa!" as he was listening, and he very courteously listened to the whole album. And then at the end of the album, I said, "Well, that's very kind of you." He said, I'd love to. And I said, "Great." And I went to take the album off him. He said, no, another listen. And he stuck it back on and started again. And I think I love that about Thijs. And I love that Focus to us, I'm maybe slightly going off piece, but Focus to us, there's always something in the music that just takes you somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that we were able to do that to him. And I think with the new album, the way that it's worked is that over the years, with the first album, the self-titled album, and then on to Cardington, we've developed who we are. The first album was very prog, probably, although we're not really into genres. And then we've moved into something that's got a bit more to it. Mm-hmm. And now this is very much us and what we do. And I think we've all got used to doing that. And it's great kudos to everybody involved that they managed to adapt to this and build something that is quite beautiful.
Yeah. The title track Altitude. We just did a recording today on the track, so we touched a little bit what kind of vibe and what kind of story you had in mind. Are you happy to share that to an extent, or is that something you'd like to leave to the listener to make out himself or herself?
We've found that over time, with the first two albums and also with the DVD, that people have made their own judgments as to what they think the songs are about. And I've actually had somebody come to me and he said, "So, what is this song about?" And I've gone, "It's about this." And he's gone, "Oh, no, it's about this." Yeah. And so it's something completely different, which I'm more than happy to see. I think we all are, aren't we?
Definitely.
And so we like that. I mean, it's fair from the title, obviously, Altitude. It's about altitude. But it's about the joy of flying, and it's about the beauty of flying, and it's about the dangers that can come with these things. So it's about how something beautiful can be manipulated into something not so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I think initially, you get it from the lyrics that it's, I have to say it's about a drone, and it's about what a drone can bring to somewhere, and that's not good. But yet it's in a beautiful environment, bringing this weapon.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm very much, as we all are, we're very much peace-loving, and we want to see harmony in the world, which is very difficult at the moment. And so I guess the song is about, why haven't we got this harmony, and what can we do to make it happen?
Yeah, it's also a view from a height. So you can pick up lots of different details, for example, if you're looking from a mountaintop or indeed a drone or whatever. So it's an overview. So...
That's a good point.
You captured that very well.
See, I didn't know that.
No, a really amazing song. Again, one striking example of how you take something and then develop really a journey and a story to it. It was quite a journey.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, the second song, Gregarious. Sorry, yes.
Gregarious is it's probably the most poppy song on the album. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I think it's good fun. It could end up being a single. We're looking at that. We had a single on the last album with Impossible, and as Dave Bainbridge is saying, it was massive on hospital radio.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And we'd like to take things further. We'd obviously love to hit the mainstream at some stage, but that's probably the closest we'll get is with this song. And it's again something people can make of it what they will.
It's a big song. I loved it, and I particularly like you described how many elements you have to put together and still make them organic and transparent, and it's a beautiful mix in that song as
Thank
well.
you.
It doesn't feel commercial in a nasty way at all. It is very, very. It could be the single, but it is still a very sophisticated piece of music.
Yes,
what I found really amazing was the singer. That was, I think, the track where I first realized there is an amazing backing singer on it. Yes. I mean, I love your singing, but that was a new element.
We've been very spoiled. We've been very spoiled. Lindsay Wood is doing backing vocals for us, and she's up in Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
I happened upon their band exploring Birdsong. Steve and I went through what they do. We really enjoyed not only the way she sings, but the way they write, the way they play. And we felt when we were discussing, who should be on the record, we thought Lindsay's dead cert. So we didn't know of her capabilities in terms of compositionally, what she's done in terms of harmony and everything else, but it's been a knockout, hasn't it, Steve?
It really has. She's blown us away, really, with what she's done. It's been quite outside the brief, quite outside the script,
which we like.
But it's all been really good.
Yes.
It's going to be something. I mean, it's a new colour to Lifesigns, and I think people will enjoy that.
And she's not in another country or place. You have met her in person, or
no, we haven't. No.
We
still have to meet. We still have to meet our drummer. So it's not as if. But it's interesting growing up with doing everything, as I say, from a distance. But it's something. In fact, John Paul said to us the other day, didn't he? He said, "I actually quite like this."
Yeah.
So it's almost once you get used to working that way, you can actually be quite productive, and I think that's the important part.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and then song number 3 is an old companion. A song that when I heard it first really touched me also because it was lyrically very touching. Something a very
I think
personal song.
In terms of lyrics, this is probably the most personal song for me, and it's about I won't go into it, but it's about a situation from some years ago and the lessons I learned from that as well. And I think it is beautiful. We do have a guest on that, actually. Robin Bolt's playing guitar on that one, acoustic guitar, because he's been on every album, and we love Robin dearly. But it was interesting to see a new take, a new version, wasn't it, of how the boys would approach it. Again, with Ivory Tower and with Gregarious and with Last One Home, we had been playing them live before the lockdown. So these were firm favourites with the Lifesigns fraternity. And so it was just a question of kind of knocking them into shape, wasn't it, Steve?
Well, yeah. They went down so well live that we said they had to be on the album.
We promised, yeah.
Yeah, so that was our core 3 tracks, really, wasn't it? Plus Altitude.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we built it up from there. It's just, they've gone down really well. They've turned out really well. So,
and everything grew quite organically. So the new tracks came in, everything seemed to fit. It's obviously it's got to go to the vinyl. So then you've got to work out what you're putting on the vinyl. You've got to work out where all the lyrics go. One thing that we would say now is that we'd like to say thank you to everyone who's supported us, because we've crowdfunded this. Definitely. And from a pledging point of view, we couldn't do it without the people who support us, and they have been more than generous, especially in these difficult times, to help us make the record that we've made. And we hope that they will enjoy it and find it a worthwhile experience. So thank you very much to all our friends. Mm-hmm. It's good.
I'm sure they will. Well invested. Yeah, Ivory Tower is... I can't remember that I heard this song live, but I think it's a very live... oriented arrangement that you have on the album now. It sounds like a beautiful performance, although it was not played together.
Well, it's changed. I mean, we generally, this is something we discussed a while back, is that with songs, why do they always have to be the same?
Yeah.
So we have changed quite a few things with songs over the years, haven't we, in terms of how they adapt to the guys that are playing it and everything else, and all of a sudden it might be harder edged or it might be softer. I think it's nice for these things to not stay exactly the same year in, year out, and that's part of the beauty of what we do is that everything adapts according to the people involved in the band, so it's really nice.
No, I think that's a very vital attitude to keep it authentic.
Keeps it fresh as well.
If people just repeat a song rather because they have to play it exactly the way the audience heard it before.
I mean, part of the thing is to get a definitive version of any song that goes on a record. You want to make it as good as you possibly can, but it's the definitive version for this time, for this band.
Exactly.
And you just, as you go through your career, things will definitely change.
Yeah, and then we have a beautiful song, Shoreline. That is one of the new creations. Can you tell us about how that came together? I'm sure John started on the keyboards.
Everything kicks off in my little cottage, really.
Yes.
And we just, I don't know, really, to an extent we had, I mean, Shoreline was kind of the last one on board, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But with that and the following track, Fortitude, it was a question of, you must be the same. You finish touring and everything else and you think, I've got to write songs, where do I start? How does it work? And then with these two in particular, this whole new way of approaching things, which we'd kind of started to cover with Altitude, arrived. And it was like, ooh, this is different, These are some new places to go. This is some new ideas. And I can remember, it was quite funny. What struck me at the time, Steve and the boys laughed because aside from the guys, I also use a few friends to just post things to and say, what do you think of this? How does this grab you? And this has happened over all the years of me writing. And so with Shoreline and with Fortitude, I can remember I sent this to both my brother and a couple of friends, and they went, "Oh, not sure about that." Okay. And that was the first thing I got back, and it was like, "Oh, okay."
Not very encouraging.
No. But I said, I think you'll find it's going to go, because I knew in my head what the guys would do with it, and then Steve was up for it from day one, and then I sent it to the boys, and they went, "Yeah." And then the next thing, organically, these things grew into behemoths, and then I got back in touch with my brother and my friends again. They went, wow, it's amazing. I never knew it was going to do this. So
that's the old story of showing people something half finished.
Yeah, exactly.
But
if it's a song, then it kind of works. But I think with these, because they were so outlandish in some areas, it was very hard to grasp the whole way that it would work. And you did a great job putting everybody together on these things.
Thank you.
That's right. I'll say it once.
Do you sometimes experience, I mean, it's one thing that I personally figured it's one of the traps I have to avoid. You very, visually explained how you see yourself almost like a medium that is channeling things, that is, that sounds to me like you don't want to be in the way. You just have to be open and, let it flow and let it happen and not be too judgmental at an early stage, I feel. But in my observation, specifically with progressive rock, there's always a tipping point where you worked a little too long on something, where it becomes a little bit, you have to be the person. There must be somewhere a point where you said, now it is exactly right. If I go one step further, have one more element in it, or one more stem, or one more change, it is tipping the balance. Have you experienced that, Steve?
Definitely, yes. There was so much stuff going on that here we are in the last week of mixing, and the challenge is not messing it up. because it's sounding pretty good already.
Exactly.
And we just not got to throw more stuff at it, and more reverbs and more. No. Less is more, and we've got to take out the things that are unnecessary now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's difficult also because everything is so good.
Well, that's the thing. And you say you have so many, which is true, so many amazing musicians. It's of course you have so many great takes. Which of the takes are the best? You know. What are you actually putting together? Yeah, and I can only say, from what I heard, you did an amazing job.
So far, so good.
Yeah. You saw the notes he was making.
Don't mess it up in the next 2 days.
Yeah, there are a few things to look at, but there's times when a musical idea is too dense. There's too many things underneath it. Or it clutters it up, and you've just got to exercise a bit of. You've got to slash the bits that aren't necessary. Occam's razor. You just take the bits out that are unnecessary to the melody, to the backing, just to make it open rather than cluttered. And that's
it's quite a difficult one because it's something that's almost impossible to do. Is that with all of these tracks, and I think we're agreed because I've seen us grinning in the studio. There's moments when something happens and you just go, "Wow," and you mustn't lose those moments. So if you can pile some fantastic things on top of those moments, and then it doesn't make you go wow anymore. And you have to be aware of that, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's the thing we've got to be careful of.
Yeah. Again, a song that I remember from a long time ago, but this has changed quite a bit. And again, one of my old-time favorites, John. Beautiful chorus that sticks with you forever. Amazing song. And
we'd be dangerous if we were popular.
Oh,
Well, you did something. You can probably take it. I hope I'm not taking anything away, but there's an amazing guitar solo in it. So it's that basically killed it for the radio, I guess, for in the shape radio stations are in at the moment. But it is worth it. It's an amazing solo. Being a big Pink Floyd, David Gilmour fan, I can say it is.
I would hope the rock amazing. Radio people would. Radio 1 probably not, but the rock radio guys will love it.
Yes.
Radio 1, Radio 2, Radio 3, Radio 4.
But internet radio, love it.
Hospital radio.
Hospital radio,
yeah. Tell us about this song. Must be because I know it from our first encounter.
It's one of the oldest songs. Really, what it was, as I said, we had the 3 songs that we did live because people had been kind of badgering us to do Last One Home. Some people knew it from my early days, as you did, but not many. And some people knew it from my time with a band called Quango, which was John Wetton and Carl Palmer and Dave Kilminster and myself. And we used to close the Quango show with Last One Home, with John singing and Dave doing the guitar solo at that time, who's now busy walking along Roger Waters' wall for a change. So, but and so it was natural for Dave Bainbridge to do it, and he's an amazing, accomplished guitarist and keyboard player, and it just sits with his style beautifully. And it's quite funny, wasn't it? On the last tour, the amount of people that said, both with Ivory Tower and Last One Home, they were crying, and it wasn't just ladies; it was it was everybody. And I think that's what music is supposed to be emotional. Yeah. It's supposed to be something that lifts, and that makes you feel amazing, or can just reach inside your soul and make things happen. And that's the way we've always worked. And I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. So this one, Dave nails it beautifully at the end. It's wonderful.
Pleasure to have you here. Please come back anytime, and good luck with everything, and stay safe and healthy, and really hope and pray that I see you very soon live on stage if possible.
Thank you, Michael. We'd like to say thank you to you. Thank you to Juliet for a beautiful cello. She's hiding there in the background. And really appreciate it.
Another puzzle game for poor Steve to work out.
That's okay. Yeah.
I don't think there's too much to do. There.
Yeah.
Be fine.
Good. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.